What's up, y'all? It's Ashley.
I'm Fee.
It's Melody.
And Cody here. And you've tapped into
The Mama Stand.
We're all mamas, and we've got 11 kids between the four of us. And let's just say we are tired. But we're also friends who are going through this journey of motherhood together.
Each week, we are giving you some laughs, maybe some tears, sharing our personal stories, and of course, giving advice, what we hope is helpful.
This is the show we wish we had before becoming mamas.
So grandmas, aunties, sisters, uncles, daddies, brothers, everybody who's in the village of raising children, we got you.
Shall we get into it, ladies?
Let's do it.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
I love that. It's like a fun classroom.
How y'all
doing?
Hi, Mrs. Cody.
Okay, first of all, y'all, we have a real live pregnant mama in the Mama's Den. It's not just the four of us today. We have actress. I'm not even going to read this. I'm going to try not to. Actress, podcaster. I'm going to read a little bit just to make sure. Oh, soon to be mama. I didn't miss nothing besides also my Neo.
Yes.
Ashley Blaine Featherson-Jenkins.
Yeah. Hey, Jenkins.
Put a twang on it. I love it.
What's a Neo, guys?
My Neo. So we are both AKAs, Alpha Chapter from Howard University.
Oh.
And she came after me.
Yes, she's my big sister.
So Neo means you're in the same sorority?
Neophyte, yes.
Okay.
And she's my prophyte.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a distinction of
kind of age because I
Felicia Rashad is also our prophyte, but we don't need to
and
name
Kamala
a whole bunch.
Harris,
There's
you know
so
what I'm
many.
saying?
We don't have to get
we
into
could do
it,
this all day.
There's a lot, but
Denzel Washington's a Capricorn, so. Oh my gosh. Exactly. So is Debbie Allen. Gotcha.
Oh, hi Ashley, welcome.
hi, I'm so excited to be in the den.
Yes.
Happy to be here. Thank you
Den
for
of
having
mamas.
me.
You. You're so pretty.
Thank you. So are you
Barbie
ladies.
doll.
I feel like right at home.
I love that.
The skin is glowing.
Right.
Thank you.
It always does.
Thank you.
Pregnancy without pregnancy, it's always glowing.
Yes.
Also, I want to say, Cody only has on concealer. I think everybody should know that. We all thought she did a whole beat. She was like, I just have on concealer. We were like, what?
I added a little blush. I
Unfair.
added a little bit of blush a minute ago.
The blush is good.
Okay.
Girl, your skin
Well,
is skinny.
Thanks so much, guys.
If I would have just came in here in concealer, we would have been like, are you missing a few?
Skipped a couple
steps.
Oh man. Okay, before we coffee, praise the Lord. We interrupt this moment to
pink
bring
cups,
Cody and Melanie hot beverages.
In my purse.
Thank you so much, Queen
Well,
Alyssa
while we're bringing
and Alea.
things, can I have a cup of ice?
Right?
Well, you about to just be crunching ice?
No.
Oh.
My water is really, it's
Thank you so
it's
much.
really
Felicia,
hot.
this is
I was
you.
like, I don't know
What
if
is
that
it? Wait, y'all need to
yeah.
know that Felicia put me onto this tea. I don't know how to pronounce it because it's Brazilian. And then I put Melanie on.
What
and
kind of
it's
tea is it?
the fact that it's in your purse.
It's a de-bloat tea. Yes.
Oh, I
love.
couldn't take that out. The way I'd be having to interrupt this broadcast.
It doesn't do anything. It just feels good and tastes good.
Oh, it
It's
doesn't make you
light.
go.
It's just
It's
a
not like
light
a
tea.
move type of
No,
situation.
no, no, no,
Oh,
No,
yeah,
yeah,
can't do those.
And it's the only tea, because y'all know I hate tea.
I didn't
I
know
only
you
started
hated
drinking tea at
What?
40, and it was really this stuff Felicia
I
gave me.
love tea.
I didn't know you didn't like tea.
This is
brings
the
me
only
joy.
tea that I can drink because it tastes like dirt. This is the only tea that I can drink that literally, what is happening?
It's hot. And I was
I'm
asking her if she
so
wanted,
hot.
Kyle brought me a
I'm like,
fan.
I am burning up today.
All right, this is what
No,
happens in
that
the
would be
mama's
so
den. We
dramatic.
sweating, talking about
Chaos.
tea.
I don't drink coffee.
Child.
You don't.
I never have.
Absolutely not, Ashley.
I don't
Yeah,
know
the
if
other
the fan
Ashley.
is going to be good for the mic.
For the camera.
Ashley,
Oh, Lord.
you don't drink coffee either?
No.
Me neither.
This is an
Ashley
unhinged moment.
Already. Ashley's
What is
currently
happening?
fanning
My
Felicia.
Are y'all seeing this?
For those who are not watching on the YouTube and who are listening to the sound of Ashley fanning
Call it
Felicia.
the YouTube?
The YouTube.
On the YouTube.
My brain is hot. Sheesh.
Y'all, and there's a bug that's circling my life right now. I'm really stressed.
It's- maybe
Y'all
it's
don't
an
see it? It's
ancestor.
just me?
No, I see it's right here too. It keeps
Oh,
moving.
Lord. Okay, before we dig into the things. Oh, we're back with Ice.
Thanks, babe.
Hello. Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alyssa. You're cute.
So before we dig into the things, how's everybody doing? What are you watching on TV right now? Like, what's life, you know? Are
Baby
you
reindeer.
sleeping?
No.
Oh.
Ashley didn't want you to say it, but it's the truth.
No.
Why?
Have you seen? You saw it.
Yeah, I'm
missed the part
watching it.
Where we said, let's not talk about
traumatized
this.
me deep in my spirit.
Okay, I have a
Well,
question.
Okay.
Now, you told me that it traumatized you, but you also were watching it in company.
Mm.
Would it have traumatized you if you were watching it by yourself or you
Yes.
were watching with Chia?
Yeah.
Yes. It's
things
traumatizing.
the things
It
that
is.
happened in it were traumatized. You know what it was? I wasn't prepared because I thought it was going to be light, like the Twitter. What was the name of that show?
Hulu.
The Twitter,
Tinder swindler.
Tinder
Oh,
Swindler.
you're talking about black Twitter.
No, but I thought it was going to
Black
be
Mirror.
like that. Like that was like a good, but it was light.
Twitter.
I didn't
Yeah.
feel like I felt like I was just learning, but
Yeah.
it was light. This was not light. Like this was very heavy. It says like sexual violence at the top, but maybe I didn't fully read that. And so, I just need to read the descriptions.
And I will add, because we really should not go down this path. It's darkness. I will add that there's 7 episodes. The 4th is the darkest from everything I understand, and I am through episode 4. I think that it does a really good job of offering context to all of these layers that's happening. If you know anything about the show, it's about this woman stalking this man, or seemingly about this woman stalking this man, but it's even deeper about like why he didn't report it and why it took him so long and da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, so it does a beautiful job in its darkness, because it's based on a true story, of explaining his mindset and empathy as a word and a practice. And he wasn't practicing, he was like compulsed, but it does a beautiful job.
Yeah.
It just takes you to a place where you're like, oh, I didn't want to be here, and I certainly didn't want to be here for 50 minutes
No.
visually.
Yeah.
No, it is deep though. It definitely does dissect self-worth and the things that we do in the name of like loving ourselves or lack thereof. So it was good for that. I think
Listen, I'm glad that bug did that right now.
I think, you know what, Melanie, watch it during the daytime on a Sunday. That's where I watch
No,
scary
I'm not
things.
giving my Sunday to this show. But I might give like my Saturday night, like when I'm by myself.
No, at nighttime.
Alyssa says she watched it in the morning, and that made it easier. I was like, I
Same.
won't do that.
But it's not like scary.
It's not scary.
scary,
It's
though.
to her point.
It's disturbing.
To her
like,
point,
right?
there's
Yeah,
one
I know. I
episode
watch,
that
like,
gives a
murder mysteries
disclaimer.
all day
Me
long.
too.
I like a murder mystery. That's my favorite genre. And
Oh
then
my
rom-coms.
God, I love.
Yeah.
Me too.
I was a snapped marathon oxygen girl when I was living. Oh, girl.
You know who has all the good murder mysteries?
Who?
Max.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Max is a hub for murder mysteries.
Oh, let me go watch some.
And they so one of
That's
my favorite
crazy.
shows is Signs of a Psychopath.
Oh, I haven't
It's
seen
a
that.
really
Sounds
good
like something I
show.
would like to watch.
And because it delves into the psychology of what makes somebody a psychopath.
Yeah.
Fair.
And honestly, it helps you, like,
Yeah.
you got your eyes on people a little differently because they have these, professionals that are kind of breaking down this activity.
You want to do that one day? Because it's your narration of Love Is Blind for me.
Oh,
Your IG story.
I actually think I would be like a really good I wanna,
Commentator.
a commentator.
Yes.
Like a host of like a reunion show.
Yes. I
I
can see you
I
doing
do
that.
see that in my future. But
Listen.
if you're into a murder, Max
Max.
is the hub.
Max Murder Mysteries. We're there.
Yes.
Strong.
Murder mysteries. Those always like freak me out.
But like, watch a light one. Like,
No,
I like
none of them
one.
are
They're
light.
not.
No,
They're not
what's a
light,
light murder
Ashley.
mystery?
They're not
Yeah,
light.
light.
like Murder
What's
on
an
the Nile.
example?
You know what I mean? Like a
No.
dramatic one. Did you see Murder on the Nile?
Yes, but
Because you want to watch a real one.
I want the
I want the imaginary
I
characters.
want the people, the families talking about it.
yeah.
I want
The
like
investigators, I
the
wanna know.
moody lighting. Yeah, the investigate.
Same.
Oh, you want
Photos.
to work for the FBI?
None
maybe?
of it.
Yeah.
No, thank
Yeah, I'm really into it. But I'm also watching Girls on the Bus, which is on Max. It just finished. One of my best friends,
okay.
Christina Elmore, stars on it. And I love watching her on television, so it's my favorite thing.
she's
but
good.
it's
She's so cute.
She's a really good actress.
but it's good. It's just nice seeing these like smart women delve into this like political space. And I just feel like I haven't seen a show like that.
Me neither.
And I just finished, the finale just came out. So that's,
know, that's
I'm
a
watching
good
it too
one.
because you
Lighthearted
posted
stuff.
about it. And I started
Yeah.
watching. I was like, oh, this is good. This is cute.
yeah,
I
so
like
that's
it.
been good.
What's it called?
Girls in the Bus. So on Max.
Okay, so speaking of which, you are, of all the things that you are an actress.
Yes, I am.
So tell us,
Howard University trained actress.
Oh, come
Thank you very
on.
much. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your journey to acting and or tell the listeners as well, your journey to acting and what have you done and how how did you find yourself an actress?
Oh my goodness.
game.
I feel like I've really been doing it my whole life. The first play I remember, I was in Montessori school. I was 3-4 years old. It was the 3 Billy Goats Gruff. And I just really remember just loving the way that I felt. I remember looking for my parents' faces in the audience and seeing how happy they were and proud of me. But I also remember I felt really comfortable. I always felt comfortable on stage. And I knew that I think even from a young age that I wanted to evoke emotion from people in that form. And so I just really stuck with it. I was really good at sports when I was younger. And my dad loved that, but I was always trying to like balance my performing arts classes with soccer and, you know, t-ball and softball. And finally I was about 9 and I like sat my dad down and was like, listen, I'm not doing the sports thing anymore. I love you. I know, because I was really good. So I think he was like, oh, but I was like, you know, but I promise, like, I will really dedicate everything to my acting, my singing, my dancing. And, you know, I'm just really grateful to my parents for being like, okay, and really fostering that and putting me in all the camps and the classes and, you know, supporting me for all the shows and, you know, allowing me to go to Howard and get a musical theater degree. Like most parents would be like, musical theater? Like what? But they did. And so I went to Howard always with the goal of moving to Los Angeles and doing film and television. I had done theater my whole life and been acting professionally since I was about 14. And I just knew that there was something about film and television. I liked how it could reach a whole bunch of people. I liked being able to like have a set of people and work. Like it's just a different way that you work on a set than when you work on theater. Now, theater is great because it's different every night. There's something really special about that. And I have this like desire to really return to the stage. But upon graduating from Howard, I knew that I was gonna move to LA. And I did. 8 months later, I was in LA with no money, broke. But my god sister was kind enough to like let me live with her and, you know, sleep on an air mattress in her living room. And, you know, it's been, oh my God, it'll be 15 years next year I've been here.
Wait, that's crazy. Because I always say 15 years, but I think I just stopped counting. But I know I got here before. No, maybe I didn't.
What year did you get here?
I had graduated 2 years prior to moving here. So I got here in 2007.
Oh, I came in 2010. Yeah.
So you've been here longer than 15 years.
2024.
I just stopped counting.
Yeah. You're
18 years.
You're approaching 20.
You said 18 years?
Yeah. And she been here 15 and she came 3 years before her. 5 was 3.
2007. So that would be 27 would make 20 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about.
That's crazy.
Because you were how old?
I don't know, 25 or something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
It's
moved
not
at 22.
until it comes out. This is the thing.
I just like to pause. There is a TikTok going around that is Ashley Chia personified. She said, people are so often surprised by the things that I say. Me too. I'm always surprised. I don't know what I'm about to say until it comes out of my mouth. Just like that moment just now.
Don't think there's anything wrong with what I say until I look at people's faces after I said it. And I'm like, is that rude? Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Anyways.
I love this.
So it's been a journey.
We've been here a long time.
It's been a road. It hasn't always been easy, but when I look over my career now, I feel like I've really made a full one and one that is still very much so developing. And I find that I came here really just wanting to be an actor. And like I was not limiting myself, but like that was the goal. And now I look at all the things I've accomplished and so many other things that I feel like God has put into my spirit that I will continue, go forth and do. And I'm really excited about that. Like I feel like for a large part of my career, I was in a box that I felt like the industry was putting me in. But
wait, what was that box?
The box was a palatable, for lack of a better term, run-of-the-mill, good actress that would just like be on shows. And I think I told myself I would be okay with that. But the truth is, like, I'm a multi-hyphenate. I do so many things. Yes, I'm a fantastic actress and I love to act, but I also love to host. I love to I'm writing a book. Like there's so many things that I want to do and that I will do. And I don't have to, I think for a long time too, I felt like I couldn't do those other things until I reached a certain level in my acting career.
That's real.
And so I was honestly denying myself experiences and opportunities because I felt like I wasn't ready for them yet, or I hadn't earned them yet because I hadn't solidified myself enough in this one space. And that was my own version of imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
Like nobody else thought that about me but me. And so I think this literally happened last year. I was like, wait a minute, I'm feeling a little boxed in. This doesn't feel right. And once I released it, I feel like now I'm allowing my life to be what it's supposed to be, not what I feel like it needs to be. And that allows a lot of space for God to bless me with opportunities that might not, seem like they're top of mind, but when they come, I'm like, oh my God, of course I'm supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I was thinking about this morning on the way here. Like, I feel like a lot of times we'll ask God for a specific blessing and we feel like it's supposed to look a specific way. And so we'll deny. I was like, it's so disrespectful for us to do this. Like when you're getting blessed with something and you feel like it's supposed to look a certain way and because you're boxing yourself in, this is how it's supposed to look, this is what it's supposed to be, but literally what you asked for is right in front of you. You just keep choosing to like look over it until, like you said, this year comes where you're like, hold on, I'm missing out on so many things. But what did it take for you to be able to tap into that? What did you do, or what happened?
It took a lot of sadness and frustration. I felt really frustrated by my career. And if I'm honest, I felt like I was blaming external forces. I was blaming the industry and the casting and the opportunities that are available. And like, to round it out, I had to stop being mad at myself and make different choices and trust God.
Yeah.
If God is trying to open up another door that I don't want to walk through because I'm trying to get through another door that he's saying for right now, I don't need you to walk through it, then I'm hindering myself. I'm not allowing the goodness that I pray for and that I know that I deserve and desire to come into my life. And so honestly, I just had to release it and just trust. Like I don't,
Release what? Like release expectation?
I had to release the expectations, but also the pressure. It was a lot of pressure on myself. I just, every day I felt like I have to accomplish this. I have to do that. And I'll tell you what else helped, the strike. When everything was removed, it was like, so what you,
So who are you now?
Yeah.
and guess what? I was like, I'm so many people.
Yes.
I can do so many things. Like, I love this, but it showed me this can go away.
Right, that part.
Like, this can be like, we're not doing this actually right now. And ain't nobody gonna get no money. Ain't nobody gonna work. Ain't nobody building no resumes. Everybody at home looking at each other sad and depressed. You know what I mean? So do I have to say, that's my whole life and now I'm just stuck in the house twiddling my thumbs? Or do I lean into all of the multi-hyphenedness that I am?
Did you have that feeling like during the pandemic, I felt like I really had a clear understanding of like who I was. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to write. Because like at the end of the day, I'm just going to continue to write because that's what brings me the most joy, whether I make money from it or not. Like I've always had that understanding. Did you have any of that clarity during that time? Because people weren't really acting during that time either.
Well, the pandemic was interesting actually, because I was still working during the pandemic.
Wow.
It was crazy, like the initial, like when COVID first happened in early 2020. But I was back to work in 2020 because we were in the middle of seasons on Dear White People.
Not 2020, not even 21.
Yeah, we
working
went
in 2020.
Yeah, we went back at the end in October of 2020.
Wow.
And then we wrapped that season in February of 2021. So it was crazy. But I if anything, I kind of appreciated the rest and felt really grateful to get back to work. During a time when nobody, different from the strike, but nobody knew how we were going to work, like how we were going to work and how it was going to work.
Yeah.
But so it was a little, I was still kind of busy during that time.
So one thing that's interesting to me about the last year and you talking about the strike and sort of being forced to decide how you were going to use your gifts, not just the one, the many.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. It's a lot to start to think about and to be forced to think about. But that's at the same time that you are starting the IVF process. How did you manage all these?
But again, I trusted God. So we started our IVF process we pivoted to IVF in November of 2022.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
So you were actively trying to have a child.
Yes.
Okay, and if you don't mind, how long was that process going
No,
for
I don't
you?
mind at all. So Daryl and I, my husband, we got married in September of 2021. And we started trying, like basically we were open to it right after we got married. So it was about 13, 14 months that we had been trying and like doing all the apps, the Mira, the ovulation strips, and the apps, all of the things.
Yeah.
Not putting pressure on ourselves, but just I really wanted to be
intentional
and informed as to how this is all going to work, and also knowing that I'm someone who's had fibroids. I had also kind of just was about to find out that I had PCOS, so I realized that I had a couple of things going on. So I think on top of that, I was like, okay, if I know I have these things going on, I need to be intentional. So we tried for about 13, 14 months, and it was then that my OBGYN was like, you know what, I think you guys should pivot to IVF. So she referred us to a reproductive endocrinologist, and we met with him, and it was a really, when I look back, the meeting was very quick, because at the time I was like, maybe IUI is our thing. Like maybe we just need a little whatever.
What's the difference between IUI and IVF?
Okay. So IUI is when, and you could do medicated or unmedicated IUI, but basically IUI is when they're taking the sperm and just putting it inside of the uterus at the right time.
Got it.
It's kind of just like timed insemination, right? Basically. Yeah. IVF is the creation of embryos.
Right.
To do that, it has to be medicated. Again, it's time, but you already have like an embryo made.
Right.
So it's kind of like a step beyond IUI.
Because they take the sperm and the egg, create the embryo, then place it into you.
Yes.
Well, the other way, they just put the sperm inside you.
Yes. And also a part of the IVF process is freezing eggs. That's a part. That's like the first part that is considered. Like you can't get to the embryo part if you don't do the egg part for IVF.
I have a question, another question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because I know you're trying to tell the story, but I have
No.
questions.
Ask me all the questions.
This is helpful.
Yeah.
The question is, did you only freeze your eggs once you started the IVF process, or did you freeze your eggs prior to that?
No, I did. I started in I did nothing and knew nothing about IVF until my doctor was like, I think you need to pivot.
Got it.
Literally didn't know anything until November 2022.
And the only reason,
sorry. One more question, I was going to ask you, because you said your doctor told you just pivot. Like, how did that make you feel, and how was that process for you when they were like, okay, we want you to do IVF? Were you like, okay, cool? Or was there did you have a moment where you had to accept it? You know what I mean?
I think I was like, okay, cool.
Okay.
I think there was I went through a disappointment period, and the disappointment was that I felt like in my head, the vision I had in my head was like, I had this whole vision of Daryl and I would have a passionate night of sex, and then, but I knew I was ovulating, and then I would be waiting the 5 to 7 days, whatever, and be like, my period's not here. Oh my God. And there were so many times even throughout that 13, 14 months where I would wake up in the middle of the night or early in the morning before he got up, and I would go to the bathroom on the other side of the house and take a pregnancy test. And every time they were negative, but that was the disappointment, was that it's not going to be a surprise for me anymore. But I was grateful that I had a doctor who told us to pivot. So it was an interesting feeling. I did have to sit with okay, now we're super involved in this now. It's not just a spontaneous pregnancy test. And I'm like, oh my God, wake up. It's not that. It ended up being our own version of that, which we'll get to. But that's how I felt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll say that to that in a different way, that's kind of how I felt with my C-sections. Whereas I had this vision of how it was supposed to go. And I'll say this, and hearing it from this perspective for pregnancy, it really reminds me again that the whole process of motherhood and mothering and pregnancy and wanting to have children is a process of learning to surrender and to pivot. even when you're raising these kids, you know? So like, you have to be willing to do what's best for the goal. For me, the goal was having my children get here healthy and safely. And that wasn't the way I envisioned it, but that's the way it had to be. And so that's why when you asked, I was going to ask the exact same question, which was, how did you feel? And it is sometimes something that takes some time to process, but when you realize in the end, you still got where you wanted to go, then you actually like, okay, that's just my story. And that's just how I got there.
And something else I know about myself is that God wants to use me to share my story and my testimony. And there was also a moment when I knew we had to pivot. I was like, because you want me to share the story. There's people that need to be inspired by this, right? Got it. Like he needed me he's clearly using me as a vessel to inspire other women on this journey. And not only just inspire, but allow them to be seen. Because I didn't feel seen on this journey. And I know that Black women are doing IVF. We're 1,000% doing it. But I felt like, where are we the entire time? And so I just feel really blessed to be a vessel in this regard, because my child is not earthside yet, but I know what it's felt like to be in what I call the pursuit of parenthood. Like, it's been a pursuit. It's, it has not been easy, but it's been so worth it. So to sit here now and have like a pregnancy where I feel amazing, when for years, all doctors have told me is that there's something wrong with my uterus. Like for a decade, something's been wrong. I gotta have a surgery. I gotta have this. I gotta take a pill. So to sit in this practice, it just feels like such a reward. It feels like such a gift, and something that I honestly did not expect. I expected to be doubled over, not being able to walk, on bed rest at 3 months, all of these things. And it truly could not be anything but the opposite.
It's crazy how our imagination will literally take us so many different places outside of what actually is. But I feel like it's that surrendering. It's for me, I'm sure everybody else feels like this too. Every day I have to remind myself to surrender. Every day I have to remind myself to release whatever idea I have in my mind, I was saying this earlier too, that I think the best way to try to avoid that, right, is the best way to avoid us having this expectation is if we write down what the goal is, like write down each thing. So let's say, for instance, for myself, it's like, I want a relationship that, where I feel seen, where I feel heard, or whatever it is. But being able to identify what are the core things that I want, so that when the blessing does come into my life, I'll be able to identify like, oh, that's it. Maybe that's not the person, maybe that's not the job or whatever, but the core values at the end are still there. So like your goal at the end of the day is like, I want to be able to be a mother. So it's like, no matter how we get there, and every single time, it's always not what we think is going to be.
Always.
And I'm sure you've heard of it too, where my mom has been telling me this for years since we were kids. Like, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. And I'm like, but it's so real,
It is.
And I also think it takes time for us to get to a space of understanding, like, let me just let go and let God like all the way. But every day I'd be like, please, Lord, you guide my footsteps today, okay? Because I might go the wrong way. Leave it up to me, girl. Yeah.
Okay, so you start the IVF process, right? And I've seen, what show is it? There was a show where it did it. Oh my gosh, it was it's drawing.
Was it Trying? Are you talking about that they did IVF?
They did IVF, and it was, oh my gosh, what show is it?
She didn't watch that, but they did on there.
I wish I could remember. It's going to jog my memory. But I remember watching a series where she was trying to have children. She was freezing her eggs, and she was terrified of needles and what the process of it was.
Oh
right?
My gosh!
So I think it's important, even as somebody who is in the world of like knowing people who have done IVF, for our listeners and for people watching to understand, like, what was your journey through that? Like, how were you mentally preparing yourself? What was it physically like for you?
It was insane. Like, honestly, so, we met with our doctor, the new doctor, the reproductive endocrinologist at the fertility center in November of 2022. And he's like, all right, I actually think IVF is a good option for you all. At the time, which is like a whole nother monkey wrench that got thrown into the past like year and a half, we knew that Daryl was going to have to get a kidney transplant. And thank God we pivoted when we did to IVF specifically and got my eggs out and made embryos, because when you are going through the kidney transplant process or post kidney transplant, you're actually, it's not recommended. They don't want you to like basically have children naturally.
Really?
I don't know what it is about. I don't know if it's something about the medication or I don't know what it is, but thank God that my doctor, my reproductive endocrinologist was like, oh, if your husband needs a kidney transplant, then you guys definitely need to do IVF. Now, at the time, we didn't know when he was going to have the transplant. It wasn't even on the books yet. We just knew that he had kidney failure and he was going to need a kidney transplant. So my doctor's like, all right, we're going to do IVF, you know, started ordering all, you know, the medicines. And I like, which is an exciting part about like being pregnant, I like all like the stuff, like the gadgets. Like I'm loving like the stuff coming in. I'm excited to like organize and label stuff. So that part was exciting, like getting all my medications in and like organizing them. But then I started seeing the needles and was like, wait a minute. So like, I'm the girl who goes to the doctor and like, I can't look when I get my blood. Like I can't even look at the needle going in. Like I'm like
I have
this.
to look.
No, I'm like this.
I'm like,
I literally cannot. Oh no, I can't look. The blood, like all that type of stuff is so tough for me. And it started hitting me like, wait, I'm gonna have to, even though I knew what it was, I was like, I'm gonna have to do it.
yeah.
So I turned to TikTok. I wasn't even on TikTok before this. But TikTok saved my life. Because anything on TikTok, I just would type in like, how to do a Menopur, which is one of the medicines, injection. Thousands of videos of women being like, so this is how I mixed it.
Yeah.
And then if you don't want to have pain, order these ice packs and do this. So I felt like
Prepared.
I felt so, and even though like the doctor's office shows you, there was something about seeing women like me.
Yep.
They didn't look like me necessarily, which we'll get to, but just women that were so generous in sharing their stories of how they did it. That really helped me. So I learned how to do it. But I will tell you, it was I was scared.
Yeah.
But now that we were on the other side of it, I did every
do it
shot
all
by
over again.
myself.
Oh, really?
I would do it. Yeah, Daryl was with me. He was with me every single time. But I needed to do it. And I think for two reasons. I think one, I just wasn't gonna be able to like have somebody sticking something into me and I don't know what's going on and we're not medical professionals. That's number one. But number two, I think there was a part of me that was like, you can do this. Like you can do something you would have never thought you could do, which is like stick yourself with hundreds of needles over many, many months. And yes, I would do it all over again. When I look back, that was the easiest part of it. Like doing the shots.
Yeah.
It was fine.
It's interesting, like how Mel said, is motherhood, like it starts before it even starts, you know? So the fact that you're like, look, I'm gonna do what I have to do to get my baby, is like, that's literally what motherhood is all about, you know?
Yeah, doing what you think you can't do.
100%. 100%.
In any other scenario, if somebody were like, I'll give you $500,000 if you do all the injections I did with IVF, I'd be like, it's not that serious. I don't really need the $5,000 or $500,000. It's fine. But to get my baby, I was like, yes, I will do all the shots.
100%.
How many? Give me 100 more. So there is a distinction in that. Yeah.
Were you successful the first implantation?
Yes. So that's the other thing. Like, you know, I was diagnosed, once I had to pivot, it was because I was diagnosed with what they call unexplained infertility, which is, yes, everyone's furrowing their eyebrows because it's ridiculous, because it's basically them being like, yeah, we see you're not able to get pregnant, but we can't really tell you why. And you're sitting there like, so there's just no. And they're like, well, it could be this, or it could be this, but we can't really tell. So it's just called unexplained infertility. Wow. And I think a lot of women deal with it. And I think it's probably one of the most frustrating parts of the pursuit of parenthood, because all you want are answers.
Yeah.
If I had answers, then I feel like I could have just been like, okay, I know that this is what it is, so I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So I say that to say, I had unexplained infertility, had never been pregnant in my life, had been trying, fervently and intentionally for over a year, didn't get pregnant. Then we did IVF, and were incredibly successful. Like, the first embryo transfer, I had 40 eggs, which is like a lot.
That's amazing.
We had 17 embryos, which is a lot. We genetically tested 8 of the 17, and 5 came back genetically great, like perfect, basically. So IVF really,
Yeah, you were successful.
really, not only were we successful, but it really worked for us. Like, it was the perfect thing for us.
For you,
That's amazing.
I love it. What was the time frame from when you started to give yourself shots, do the medication and things, and then?
Okay, yeah. So I started shots in January of 2023. Did an embryo transfer or egg retrieval at the top of February of 2023. And then I took a break. We took a break because my doctor, and another reason why it was great to pivot, he found another fibroid. I've had 3 myomectomies now, which are fibroid removals. But he found another one that was on the lining of my uterus in a spot that he just felt like, again, with the unexplained infertility, this could be maybe the reason why. Because embryos want to be cozy and comfy, and they don't want to have other stuff happening in there. And
They want to share their space.
Yeah. And so he thinks that basically every month they were like,
Unless you Cody's babies and then you got 2 of them.
exactly. Basically, he was like, every month, they're just like, we want to stay here, but
What's that thing right
something's
there?
in the way, and I don't like it.
this person?
Yeah.
Whose man's is this?
I don't like it. So his plan was, let's remove that in the summer sometime. So like rest a little bit from the egg retrieval. Let's remove that in the summer sometime, and we'll do, an embryo transfer whenever you want to after that. The problem is, last year was crazy, right? So it was, we were all pumped up. We were like, this is good, this is good. At the same time, we're also trying to figure out who's going to be Daryl's kidney donor. Because we knew, the doctor had told us at this point, if Daryl didn't get a kidney by January of 2024, then he would have to do dialysis about 4 to 5 times a week.
Oh my God.
And so it was like we were on this. I, of course, wanted to be the donor, and I was the blood match and everything. But the doctor was like, if you want to have a baby, you can't. So that and then the PCOS kind of knocked me out. His mother ended up being a match. And so kind of that whole year, she was really, working on herself, getting her levels to the optimal point. So we were both kind of, all of us,
cry.
Moms.
yeah. So his mom ended up being his donor, which was
Wow.
amazing. But it was a year of all of us working on ourselves. I'm trying to get us to a baby. His mom's trying to save her son's life. Daryl's trying to, hold
Be a
it together.
dad
be
as
a-
well as being a healthy person.
hold himself together, but also hold me down as I'm going through all this.
So
So
it's a strike, and you're not working.
I'm not there yet. So it's the top of the year, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be great. It's February. We just got the eggs. I'm like, we got the embryos. I'm like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Strike happens in April or May. Our strike happened in May, but it had started in April, and I was like, oh no. Like this, I literally was like, God, no. Because I will say, God made it very clear to me. And I've kind of been the person that struggles sometimes with how do I hear from God? Like, how does he give me messages? But I've never had a message more clear than him telling me, you need to do this before the end of the year. So when the strike happened, I was like, this year, 2023, you want me to do this? You want me to, because that was the hard part too. When you're doing IVF, it feels like it's so much in your control. So I felt irresponsible. It felt like, what person would be in a strike, not working, not knowing what's next, husband's about to have a kidney transplant, and intentionally choose to put an embryo in their body and start having a baby? That just seemed so irresponsible.
Did you feel selfish at all? In that space?
I didn't feel
because there's so many other things going on?
I didn't feel selfish. I felt scared, and I felt irresponsible. And I felt like, God, I know this is what you're telling me to do, but you must have gotten it wrong. Maybe this message was for somebody else that was gonna be going through, I don't know. So I did the surgery to remove the fibroid in July, and that was very successful. And this whole time I'm like, I'm trying to hint to Daryl. I'm like, Daryl, maybe we should just push it. And Daryl's like, no. Daryl was the one that was like, no, we are doing this for the end of the year. And I just was like, oh God, and God kept reminding me. So we get closer and closer to the end of the year, and I'm freaking out. The strike is still going on, by the way.
Right.
I thought the strike would be a little quick joint. It was It was
Yeah.
long and arduous. So we're in November and I'm like, oh my gosh. And basically, you know, my doctor's kind of like,
Let's go.
what you trying to do?
End of the year.
And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And so we schedule the, the embryo transfer for like basically second week in December. And around the same time, we got the word that Daryl's surgery would be scheduled. His kidney transplant would be scheduled. So we did the embryo transfer December 12th and found out we were pregnant December. Oh my gosh. Found out we were pregnant December 20th. And then Daryl got a kidney transplant January 24th.
Wow.
So the whole first trimester of my pregnancy was like Daryl's recovery.
Yeah.
And in the hospital and at the kidney transplant clinic and appointments and just making sure he's okay and family coming in and helping. It just was,
And you said you weren't sick though, right?
thank God. That's
but
what I'm
that-
saying.
but thank
yeah.
God.
But
literally.
it's the baby. I feel like she's or he is just
No,
like,
it's a girl. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
No, it's okay.
We could have edited that shit
No,
out. Just
when you said she, I was like, "Ooh, is it an instinct?" Is like, is it like?
No,
yeah,
she told me.
yeah.
I was
You know
like,
how
girl.
Ashley is.
It's a girl, yeah.
Everybody.
Because again, we did IVF, so we picked the gender.
Yeah,
of
I
it.
know. But you could just be waiting.
That,
on
I was going to
people.
ask that question. Can
Yeah.
you? Is
Yeah.
that a thing? You can choose the gender
Yeah.
of the baby.
I mean, she said they did genetic testing.
Yeah, so when you
that was
genetic
already in
test,
that,
you
yeah.
kind of know like the grade of the
Right.
embryo, but you also know the gender or the
Yeah.
sex.
But you can ask to not know, right? Like
You can ask to
yeah.
not know. We out of the at first I wanted to just like kind of do like just put the best one in and whatever, but we genetically tested 8 of the 17 and 4 came back as girls and 1 came back as a boy, like all like genetically healthy. And so we felt like we had more girls to go to go through, which sounds crazy,
Oh
but
my gosh,
but
it's such a trip.
yeah, so we felt like
Such a
should
trip.
the first one fail, you know,
Oh,
then
I
we
see.
can we
Yeah.
have
Okay.
more girls to kind of like
Yes,
Right.
use that
yes.
we don't have to test others.
Right.
Whereas like we kind of only have one boy right now. There
Right.
could be others that we just haven't tested yet, but that kind of solidified our decision.
Got it.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh, that's amazing.
I
I'm like,
know,
it's literally, it's so magical.
It
It's
is.
literally like such a blessing.
But I had to find the magic in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I wanted to be that girl that like woke up and just was like, am I pregnant? Like, my breasts feel different. Yeah. I don't know. Or someone's like, you have a glow. And I'm like, oh my, wait, did I miss my period? Like I had all of these
Yeah,
scenarios. And this wasn't that, but it empowered me in a way that I think I needed for
Yeah.
my journey in motherhood.
Yes,
too.
of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything that we go through with these damn kids and everything is literally to expand us. Like
Yes.
it just expands us, and I feel like it gets us closer to the source. Like through it, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today without having my children. Period. Point blank. Like
So
at all.
excited.
Yeah.
But you
that's why I
also-
was like, I'm excited for you because this is the beginning and baby is not even earthside yet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh girl, it's up.
It's up. It's up.
Cody,
yes.
what are you saying?
No, Melanie's trying to ask
No,
a
you. I
question.
saw you go. It
Yes,
was-
but Melanie's trying to ask.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
gonna let Melanie answer. a question.
No, I was just saying, I think it's beautiful that you actually said it. You said, I found myself labeled into this box and you had to break yourself out of it. And it feels like once you actually were like, I am more than just this one thing, life opened up for you in such a way that now you saw yourself in a different, I'm capable of giving myself shots. I'm ready for motherhood. Oh, I can get through this with my partner. Like all these things. I have a testimony now. I have a message. I'm writing a book. Like all
Yes.
these things that you downloaded once you broke out of your own box and how life pivoted for you. The strike, it's the same thing like, going back to the pandemic. It's like you really had to ask yourself, what am I limited to and what do I need to become? Who do I need to become? And you're arriving there. You're on the journey. And it's really, really
Thank you for
it starts
that.
with
That's
you.
a good like
starts with you.
bringing it around.
Question. Okay, so
Hold up, I have
you're
a
on
question.
strike.
Cody.
because she acknowledged, right, all of these things that you were expecting pre-IVF, right, to be a part of your pregnancy motherhood journey.
Yeah.
What has been the most exciting part for you, or what moment was like just exciting for you that you didn't expect?
Oh man, like in the pregnancy journey thus far, one that really sticks out is I remember after I got the fibroid removed in July. I was with my reproductive endocrinologist, and so he was like my first checkup, I think, after. And I remember he was in there with the wand, which we all know about the wand.
Yeah, the wand.
And he was, just looking at the screen. He was like, "Your uterus looks perfect."
Oh.
And I just cried because I'd never
Never
heard
heard
that.
that.
Yeah.
I'd never, and I just got chills again. I'd never heard that. And I thought like, wow, this was so worth it.
Yes.
It was so worth it for him to just sit here in this moment, all the shots, all the surgeries, all the medication for years, for most of my like adult life, to sit there in that moment on the precipice of like, having a, hopefully having a baby
Yeah.
or becoming pregnant, being like, your uterus looks great.
Yeah.
It just was really beautiful. And then, getting the call. So, I saw like finding out that we were pregnant, or I wanted it to look a lot different. I had been let go of that, obviously, but I didn't imagine how I would actually feel when we did get our version of the call. And so basically what happens is like you do the embryo transfer, and then you go back in about like 8 to 9 days later, and they do what they call a beta test, where they're like, doing your blood draw. So they, to see what your HCG levels are. So they tell people not to test in between. Some people do, some people cheat. I didn't. My doctors really were like, don't take a pregnancy test in between. Just wait until you come in for your beta test. And
Poor
of course,
child.
yeah,
I would have been like,
the girlies on TikTok are testing.
I
The
would
girlies-
definitely take a test every day for 8 days.
Me
The
too.
girlies on TikTok are
Oh, for sure.
testing, okay? So I just was like, and it
I'd
was
have been freaking
Daryl.
out.
Daryl was like, Bash, he calls me Bash. He's like, Bash, it worked. It's okay. You gotta trust. So I was freaking out that whole 8 days because I didn't really have any symptoms. Again, the girls on TikTok are like,
You're waiting for the feelings.
yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
I had a twinge last night, and they're like, that's implantation, or I had a this, or I'm so exhausted. All of these things, I was like, none of this is happening to me. So I was like, maybe it didn't work. So we go for the beta test that day, and I remember being excited, but also feeling like this is going to be really crazy if they call me and say that we went through all this, and it again. A lot of women go through it.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you don't want to.
Right.
So I was just like, oh my, driving to Thousand Oaks
Right?
to go to the, to go to the doctor, and we got back, and they say they'll call you in a couple of hours. So Daryl and I were just in the bed, like just relaxing, just trying to watch some TV. He was totally calm. I was like, my mind was just in so many different places. And then we got the call from the nurse, and she's like, "Hey, was this Ashley?" And I'm like, "Hey," and I remember I had the feeling of like, "Hey, yeah, it's me," like, "What's up?" And she's like, "Well, doctor called you, right? You're pregnant." And I was like, "Oh," I remember being, and Daryl just was like, "Yeah," we were just so excited, and she was like, "Oh wait, the doctor didn't call you yet?" She's like, "Well, he's gonna call you. Act like I didn't tell you first." She's like, "I thought that he called you first," and then I took a pregnancy test, and it was the first time I saw positive, and I just remember being like, I just could not believe. I got chilled. I couldn't believe it. Like seeing something you've never seen before, but wanted to
This
see.
one over here look like a proud mama.
Well, me and Cody are over here crying. Nobody else crying. We've been crying the whole daggone time. Every time you say something, we're like,
It was to me the evidence of a miracle.
Yeah.
Like it was God saying, it was the evidence of God being like, this is for you. You will be a mother. And it will not be the route that you think it will be, but you will see that test say pregnant one day. You will see it. And to see it, it just was almost like my mind couldn't like catch up. So then I realized after that, obviously Daryl and I are very excited and we're celebrating. I realized that like, for so much of my life and my career, the big calls that I've waited for were for jobs.
So listen, baby, as you were saying all of this, I was like, man, imagine how many calls she's gotten in her career that have been like, you got it. And then getting this one. It's
It
like,
didn't compare. And I realized it allowed me to release even and surrender more to that. Like I've already gotten the best call of my life.
ooh, girl.
So the next call that I get for a movie or a TV show or whatever opportunities, I will be very, very grateful for them. And they will still bring me joy. But not like this.
Ain't nothing like this one.
And I realized that this is really a life-changing call.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought the call for the next show or the next movie, those change your life for a moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But this changes my life forever. This cements my legacy.
Yes.
Like it's different.
You know what I wanted to say? So earlier you said, sometimes I'm like, how will I hear God talking to me? But the whole time you were talking, do you know what I was thinking about? The fact that it's a couple things. So you said that your husband should not have, or you guys should not try to make children after he has the surgery, right? So I just think about like, back to what Felicia said about how God has a plan for us and we think we're supposed to do something, but I feel like your whole life is like God has spoke to you. Like he knew you wanted to be a mother and he knew that this was your partner and he knew that he was going to have that surgery. So he put that little block in there in your perfect uterus because he knew like, no, like this, he has to get healed, but you want a baby. So this, like all of these steps
The timing
but it was like do you know what I mean? Like that's what I believe. It was destined. Like this was destined for you to be pregnant and have this little girl that's inside of you right now. And God was like, wait, your partner had like, you know what I'm saying? The foresight to know that he was going to have this journey as well.
Yes.
So this was to make sure that both of you could have that baby because now your uterus is perfect, but then you would have been with the battle of like, oh, we can't try to make a baby because you had this surgery and what that would have looked like. It would have been a completely different story.
Yeah, it builds
so
faith
true.
too.
Yeah,
It builds faith and character, I feel like. So like Ash said, I definitely feel the same way of you needed to go through that little block needed to be there, you know, all the things. Like,
And, you know, ultimately she has a healthy father.
Yes.
Like Daryl seemingly looked fine, but he was not okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he had end-stage renal failure.
How long did you two know that? Or like, what did
We
you find
found out in like 2019
Okay.
that he had kidney function issues, but again, has been basically asymptomatic. We found out on a fluke. He was at the doctor for an ulcer and they were like, they did all sorts of other scans and we're like, did you know one of your kidneys is smaller than the other? And he was like, no. And they're like, yeah, and your creatinine levels are a little high. And he was like, what does that mean? End up going to our primary, then to a nephrologist and then being like, yeah, you have stage 3 kidney failure. We were like, wait,
the hell?
what? So we knew for some years, but we didn't know how it would all converge.
Yeah.
I never imagined that I would be 8 weeks pregnant or whatever, and he's getting a kidney transplant.
Yeah.
Never thought that would be happening in the first trimester of my very first pregnancy. But thank God, because now when she gets here in August, he's fine. We came out of the woods with that. He's healthy. I'm healthy. I was able to still take care of him and support him through that, just like he had done for me on the whole IVF journey. So
I'm so happy you weren't sick too.
Me too,
Like
girl.
that, for both of my kids, I got super sick. So I'm like, just the fact that you weren't
No
sick and you were
way.
able to be present, I think is so beautiful.
it's such a blessing. It was all God. That was all God. He knew there's no way I could have been sick and at the hospital every day.
No, your baby knew that though. She just know. I feel like our children come to us and they know what we need and they add to our family in that way. Like she just already knows her place in the family is to bring the two of you peace. She's just your little peace baby.
She is. I'm always like, she's so nice to me. She's a sweet girl. She's really nice.
She's a Leo. She's scheduled to be a
No,
Leo?
actually, she's a Virgo. I know. I was. I know. The only
No,
is-
Virgo and Sagittarius are like you don't wanna be like
Okay.
this. No, Virgo and Sagittarius are good.
Well, I mean,
mix.
Beyonce and
Good.
Jay-Z.
Yeah.
And I have the same birthday as Jay-Z. So, you know, I feel like it'll
It'll be good.
It'll
She's born on
vibe.
Beyonce's birthday. No.
She's going to be an August
She's gonna be
Virgo, but she's
August.
cuspy. She'll be like right after Leo.
Leo.
So
Oh, cute. Okay.
we'll see. But
Sending you all my prayers.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. Do you have a Virgo?
Yes, I do. It's my second born child. And she's the one who told me to put another picture on Instagram because she didn't like the one that I posted.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I will start gearing up for that.
Yeah, she'll tell you what to do. I just listen. It's fine.
I just listened.
Just listen.
Okay, so we have technical questions about
Yes.
the process.
Okay.
So with IVF, what are costs and things? Like, how does that work? Also, I'm curious, do they have financial resources to be able to, you know, people to participate? I know it's not the cheapest thing, but can you tell us about that?
Yeah. IVF on average, if you were doing egg retrieval, embryo creation, embryo transfer, I would say is going to cost you around $20,000.
How many chances do you get within
One.
that? Okay,
With the
so it's like
$20,000?
we gotta strike. Yeah.
And this is why they say that, you want to make sure you're a good candidate for it because your money, you're paying for it. So you want to have the best chances because it's literally percentage of probability, right? It all depends on how many successful, healthy eggs they can retrieve, right? So this is why they say sometimes for older women, your eggs are older, you might not have a great chance because you might retrieve how many eggs, but again, how many of them are quality of your eggs as you get older. So these are things that I've know friends who are on the older side of wanting to have children, which is not even a thing anymore. But that is something to consider in the biology of what makes you a great candidate for IVF and really the quality of your eggs, right? Because you want that money to work for you.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
So if you so you pay the $20,000 and that includes however many eggs you can get, how many healthy embryos. So if you want to have another baby, do you have to pay again to implant one of your already made embryos?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll have to pay again for that, which I don't know how much that'll be, but I would guess maybe around like $2,000, $3,000.
But then you also have
and then
the
you have to pay for storage. You have
That's
to
what I was
store.
gonna say, yeah.
So at my place, the storage fee for our embryos a year is $750
Okay.
just to store them.
It's not that bad, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and to do an egg retrieval and egg freezing, which some women just want to do that, I would say that's around, on average, maybe $2,000 to $4,000. Now, there's I feel like a lot of employers are offering this now, which is
especially in
great.
tech spaces.
In the tech spaces, which is really, really nice. Or they're offering some sort of benefit for it in conjunction with health insurance. But I just really want to emphasize, like, for women, when it comes to having children, biology does matter. It just does. And it's frustrating sometimes and unfortunate, but it is a real thing. So I really just want to encourage women, if you are even thinking that you might want to have kids, save up. I've seen people do GoFundMe. So there's a thing that my friend Calais Stewart collaborated with Evite.
Yep.
And there's egg showers now where you can have a shower to have people give you money to support you
On your
journey. I think that is really,
Yeah.
really important because lean on your community because you can. I remember even although I was married and knew we wanted to have kids, I remember after we got those eggs frozen, I exhaled. I was like, woo, I am happy.
Go ahead and get this.
Those are out of me.
Yeah.
And I can do with them what I please.
Yep.
But I got some eggs out because what a fact is that we are born with all the eggs we're going to have. And we lose some every month.
Yep.
From the beginning, as soon as we start, from the beginning, but especially, obviously once we start menstruating. So it's just a fact. So if you are, I think.
I feel like I need to go have this third baby now.
Come on, girl.
My brain is like,
But just in terms of resources, though, like shout out to Calais. She's also part of or behind the documentary Eggs Over Easy, which talks a lot about this process. After having, she dated someone for 7 years. When they broke up, she was like, did I just give this man all my good baby making years? So that revelation led her to help a lot of other women by sharing.
wow.
But yeah, her partnership with Evite is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have so many friends now, especially in creative entrepreneur spaces. They may not have partners, but they're having the conversation about freezing their eggs from earlier than they probably would have expected.
Yeah.
Because they just, and it's interesting because I know even for me, I remember when I was in my early 30s, my brother came to me and he said, hey, have you ever thought about freezing your eggs? And I was like, what? It's I'm 31 years old. Why would you ask me about freezing my eggs? And he was like, because I work in business. And he's like, I have so many women who are focused on their careers. And he's like, and they get hyper focused on their careers and then they work and they invest all their years, 20s, 30s. And then they get to the 40s and the biology factor kicks in. And then they were like, wait, I'm having trouble having a baby and I really want to have a baby. And my brother was like, look, you get home insurance, you get car insurance, you get all these things. He's like, if you being a mom is in your forecast for your life goals, explore the idea of freezing your eggs. And I remember being so how could you? Ironically, I shortly got pregnant thereafter, which was God again. But, I understood it for the first time where I was like, this makes perfect sense.
Yeah, 100%.
This makes perfect
I'm
sense.
over
If
here
you have the
thinking, like, should
means,
I
the
freeze all my
resources, and
girls'
the, what's that?
Stop. She about to get them 7-year-olds and 5-year-olds.
No,
some
but
eggs.
I'm like, shoot, when my daughters are all like 21, I should be like, I'm just gonna freeze your eggs for you and
Is
put them
that
away.
a thing though?
It
No,
is
but those are like
actually
their best eggs.
No, I heard, I maybe it was on social media, I don't remember, but there was a family who was saving money for their daughters after they become 21 or whatever to freeze their eggs
I
so
think
that
it's
their
smart.
daughters would not have to
Very
worry
smart.
about
Very
that
smart.
later.
Very smart.
Wow.
I feel like I literally was sitting here thinking like that should be a thing in our
thought about
country.
that.
They should just at 21, everybody should just freeze their eggs.
1000%.
Do you know what I mean? Because even I think about that too. Like I had a
Yeah.
baby at 24 and I had my last baby at 36, and just like the quality of the egg, like it does go down as you get older. We don't want to talk about that, and we're like, you can have a baby whenever you want. That's not. Yes, you can.
It's
sure.
possible.
Right.
It's
But
possible.
it also has its challenges.
Yes.
It has
And that's
its
the reality of
challenges.
it. That is the reality
and
of
our
it.
best eggs are probably when we like 20, 12. I don't know.
I mean, if you really think about it, when you start menstruating, your body's literally being like, we can make babies now, which is
Yeah.
scary because that happens sometimes for
Yeah.
little girls at 9.
Nine.
No,
Yeah.
we're not having no babies.
Yeah.
But but the truth is that the quality of the eggs.
Yeah.
Now, I think that the counter side to that is that some people, one, it's a financial commitment that you
course.
don't
It
know
is.
that you're willing to make. You have to be able to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, some people don't know whether or not they want to have children, which those people sometimes I feel like they probably would be good candidates for it because
Yeah.
you might be like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I don't want to get to a place where then I want it and I can't have it, you know? And so
It provides a peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
provides a piece, whether you definitely know you want to or you're unsure.
Right.
If you have the eggs out and they're on ice somewhere, you can just keep living your life until you want to revisit it.
Right.
And I just really want to encourage women to look into it,
Yeah.
to support their friends in it.
Yes.
If a group of you get together, go to a doctor
Yeah.
together and be like, we trying
Yes.
to make it a thing. I don't know,
Yeah.
you know,
No,
but
smart.
it will provide you a peace of mind that
Yeah.
you can, it's priceless.
It's priceless.
Yeah.
Right.
So now that you're however many months away from bringing us this
Yeah.
baby girl, do you have any questions for us?
Oh my gosh, yes. I have all of the questions actually. So
Oh,
how
God.
many kids do we have how many children do we
11.
have?
11.
Oh my gosh.
6 girls and 4 boys? No. Is it 5? 5 boys, 6 girls.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did the math yesterday, actually, for some reason.
That's wild.
5 boys, 6 girls.
I
been
think
thinking
my
about y'all all the
biggest
time.
question is I know that like you can't really prepare, right? Because you don't know what's gonna happen. But I know that we're still human and we try to prepare.
Yeah.
Right.
And preparation can help some things on the other side.
Yeah.
So my first question is, what is something you did to prepare for motherhood that you would really suggest that I do?
That's Cody.
Mm.
She like the prepare queen.
But my preparation is like accepting the surrender piece. Like it's accepting that I'm not in control.
Yeah.
It's for me, it was preparing for the worst, like baby steps, right? So literally the worst being like, okay, he's gonna pee on us. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's a boy, he got a penis. Okay, I'm gonna get peed on all the time. Like those were the things that I prepared my mind for. And at the end of every day when they didn't happen, it was like, we made it through the day and didn't
Yeah,
get peed
yeah.
on. Or I ducked that pee. But like preparing is for me was like observing, reading everything, and then just knowing what was possible and being like okay with it.
Got
Yeah.
it.
You know?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's like the bare minimum.
I feel like for me too, it's the surrendering piece. But also it was different with my first than with my second. My first, the surrendering piece I feel like was so challenging for me. It was I was telling them on another episode that it was very overwhelming, just accepting help because I just wasn't in that space in my life. But then with my second, I was like, oh yeah, no, run the help. I need all the help. So I think just being open to that. To be honest, I really feel like the route that you're taking of like just listening to yourself, listening to God, and just doing one thing at a time, I think is also very important. So like continuing to do that work, you know?
That's good.
Yeah.
What about you, Mel? Did you?
You know, I think there's 2 things. And I think the first part is there's an instinct that you already have in a connection with your body and your child. And I think that that's something we're not empowered enough to kind of like think about because there's advice and people who want to give you all the things. And, you know, I think there is already a conversation and relationship being built between you and your daughter. And talking to her through this process sets the tone for how you would like to have your relationship be when she comes earthside. And I think your instincts with knowing her and feeling like you've made a connection with her from now, you know, is really important. And when she gets here, understanding too that like you are a first-time mom. And so like we don't have all the answers. And so we like, it's okay to kind of like learn this new thing as we go along.
As a new person.
Yeah, as a new person, and learn who you are, and, you know, think about the things that you want to keep, that you really appreciate about how you were brought up, and like the things that you want to carry over to your children. And also just being very selective with who you ask advice from.
Girl.
Because not everybody's experience will be best for you. But I think the best thing that you can do is find people who allow you to be you through your process and help you figure out what you need. And that's what we, I think, have found here with each other. And so it's really about tribe. I think it's really important as you go through, where, you know, it can feel very isolating sometimes in motherhood, but you can develop tribe, and that really helps like sharing. And I think it's going to be really important for you too, because you're so passionate about your testimony, through your testimony of life. That's evident through this whole conversation. So it's going to be even more helpful, I think, and healing for you through some challenging moments in motherhood, to be able to express and share and help others and receive help.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
No, I was going to add to what Melanie said about, you know, finding people that you can talk to authentically, but also knowing when to take it and leave it still.
That part, yeah.
You know,
That's real.
Because there are going to be people who love you and mean the best. And even have, you know, 40, 11 kids and have lots to say that may not be right for you.
Yeah. It's more like advice, I would say, because I have a 15-year-old and a 2-year-old. I feel like this time around, I had my 2-year-old when I was 36. Like I feel like this parenting journey is way more relaxed, and I'm much happier as a mother.
You did a post about that.
Yes. And so I would say to remember that it just goes so fast. And I know people say that, but I'm telling you, like, the way that I am parenting and I'm locked in with my 2-year-old is so different than my other children. I was so stressed out, and I wanted to be so perfect. And I compare myself to my mom because I feel like my mom is like the perfect mom. And it just was like giving me so much anxiety. I don't have that with my 2-year-old at all. I'm so chill. I'm like, okay, she's licking the ground. That's fun. You know what I mean? Fun times.
It's okay to lick the ground.
It is, but the thing is like with me, I had an idea of being the perfect mom. So with Amira, like I feel like I really was. Like I made everything from scratch, and like in the textbook, I was like those girls on TikTok that are making. That was me. You're hungry. I would make the bread from scratch, and like that's why I cackle at that, because I'm like, oh, I was that girl, and people are like, that's not realistic. It is for some people. That's the mom I wanted to be. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't buy anything pre-nothing, but then it was just also, it just put a lot of pressure on me. My friends would judge me like, you're not going to do that by the time you have a 4th kid. And honestly, I still am like that a lot, but I did release because it doesn't matter. You know what matters is like the connection you have with your child.
Yep.
That is what they're going to remember. Like, sure, I remember my mom making everything from scratch too. Like it was great, but also like, I also know that I can come to my mom for anything, and my mom is a source of love. And at 39 years old, I can lay in my mom's lap and she takes out my braids and she will wash my hair and she will clip my toenails, and my mom still mothers me. Yeah, my mom is still like that to this day. And that's how I am with my children. So I just feel like just lean into it. And when you're tired, remember like, ooh, I'm not always gonna be tired. You know what I mean?
Really?
Well, not like that.
Everything I've heard is that
Listen,
I'm still tired.
Who was the episode on Monday?
Latham.
Latham. Watch that one, because she also talks about like healthy attachment too.
I was just talking to her this morning.
Listen, don't let your baby sleep with you. Do all of the things, because it just goes by so fast. Just connect with your baby.
Oh, thank
girl,
you.
Right. It's the gnats. But
Thank you.
just lean into that connection and the feeling that you have with your baby, and do all the things that feel natural to you.
I have one more question, if you don't mind.
Oh.
Okay, so I've been thinking a lot about my body. And I'm not talking about like snapping back. I'm not talking about like my actual body. I'm talking about how my baby will need my body. And I have a lot of feelings about it. I'm like, oh, that's going to be interesting. Like someone's going to need my body for nourishment. And how do I feel about like being the person that is like,
It's no longer your body.
yes,
for that
and so I
time.
want to know, how did you all work through that? What did you do? Did you breastfeed? Did you pump? Did you use formula? Did you love the breastfeeding of it all and didn't feel the like, the, what am I trying to say?
The pressure.
Like not the pressure, but like the loss of independence of your own body.
And then I will go after because I feel like everybody else's journey. I feel like mine is different for everybody.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
no.
I want to say one quick thing,
Yeah, go.
and it'll be super quick,
Yeah.
which is you still have the choice.
Yes.
You don't have to give up your body in
That's
that
what I was
way
gonna
if
say
you don't
too.
want to.
Yes.
But we all did in some way, shape, or form. So
Okay.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I feel like I did the most extreme version out of everyone. Like obviously I breastfed all of my children. I didn't use pacifiers with any of my children except the first one. So I didn't use any pacifiers. I breastfed them all, and I didn't use bottles with the last 3. So, but I will tell you this, I wanted to do that. I felt like that was my job as a mom. I felt that way. I don't feel that way about anybody else. And I think you have to do what's best for you. I also set up in an environment where I was able to just be primarily, like, it depends on what your life is too.
Yeah.
I live at home, I work from home, and my husband is the breadwinner. So I could just sit up and breastfeed my baby any time of the day too.
Yeah.
He's the breadwinner and you're the milk maker?
I make the milk to make the bread.
I couldn't help it.
That was really good.
Yeah. But also, to be fair, it annoyed me and I got tired of it. But it was one of those things that I felt like it's supposed to be like that. That was just my own thing. I was
Okay.
like, well, I mean,
you were able to make peace
girl,
with
I
it.
had milk in my underarms. I was like, I give the babies the milk.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot of milk.
Would you say you made peace with it?
Yeah, because I just felt like there's things in my life, it's kind of like, I don't know, this is just the type of person I am. There's some things that I don't necessarily want to always do, but my connection to it is if I feel like it's the right thing to do or it's what I'm supposed to do or it's the best option, I'm going to do it. And I have peace with knowing like I might not truly enjoy all of this, but I have a sense of pride in knowing that I'm doing what's best for my children or myself. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was just like, of course, there were times where I wanted to go out or do stuff where I was annoyed. Like, damn, I had like the baby's always with me because I didn't use bottles. So like no one else could feed them. Yeah. Yeah. It was a
Girl,
thing.
That's a choice.
Yeah.
Ash. That's a choice.
Bottled up. Okay.
Yeah.
Bottle me up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But with my first, with Peace, I breastfed both of them. I breastfed my son longer than my daughter, and he's younger than her. But I definitely had a hard time with my first because I was just still trying to figure out, and I was very young when I had her. But I think with my son, I embraced it a little bit more and was just like, okay, this is what we're doing. But definitely had to change my perspective in the way that I saw my body. Was like, my body is here in this moment to like make sure that this child is okay. So whether it's breastfeeding or whatever it is, but girl, after that year 1, I'm like, all right, so get off my boobie. Like after year 1, I'm like, move, time to go.
You can put yourself into a space where you realize it's temporary.
100%.
And do what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Same.
It's definitely sacrificing myself. But that started with the pregnancy part, you know what I mean?
Got it.
Is like,
Yeah.
honestly, that was the thing that made me feel like as women, we are so magical, is like our body is housing these little tiny humans, and we deliver these beautiful little things, and, your boobs create milk, and it's just, it blows my mind. Like,
Yeah, it's wild.
it's amazing.
I'm a cow.
I'm a cow. I will give another perspective. So my breastfeeding journey was not easy. I was not a big milk maker. And I did everything. I mean, lactation consultants, cookies, all the things. And with my son, I was hell-bent on breastfeeding. Mastitis, whatever, all the stuff, all the cabbage on I was thugging through to get to this place where I was like, we are going to breastfeed. But I still had to supplement with formula with him because I wasn't a big milk maker. He was a big baby and he wanted food. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to supplement something on the side. So with my son, I did that. With my daughter, we made it to 6 months, and then my milk was like, bye, I'm leaving the chat. And I was so sad about it. I was so sad because I felt like we had just gotten the hang. With my daughter, I was producing more milk, but at 3 months, I was tapped. I was done. I was like, this is draining my mental health. We were having latch issues till 3 months. I was pumping all day. It was me. And we were doing some supplement for formula with her, but I was making more milk. It was so difficult for me to create this milk for her and to be up. And then it was affecting, I was losing sleep. I was getting infections. And I literally was crying to my husband. And I was like, I'm just so tired. I don't feel like I'm right in the mind. And he's like, so stop. And I cried again. Because I was like, what? And he's like, stop. He was like, you don't have to drive yourself crazy to do this.
Yeah.
That part. I think that's
And I was like, I don't.
Yeah.
And I literally pumped as much as I could, and I watched. Mind you, I'm also a crazy person whose period comes back like a month after I have my children.
Oh, wow.
Which affects your levels of milk.
Got it.
So my body was literally like, we ready to have another baby? No, the hell we're not. No, the hell we're not. But it definitely affects. And so I experienced these struggles immediately. And so once I gave myself the permission to be like, did I do the best I could? Is my child healthy? Is my child fed? There is no wrong way.
Yeah.
There is no wrong way if you're doing the best that you can. And I truly believe that your mental health is the most important thing because it will affect everything. It will affect your ability to bond with your child. It will affect your ability to produce milk. It will affect your ability to show up as a wife. It will affect your ability to everything. So you really have to take inventory to ask yourself how you need to show up. How is that affecting your, how are you being affected in your ways that you want to and need to show up? For me at that end, I vividly remember how distraught I was at the challenge. And it just took my husband saying, it's okay. Like, she's fine. Yeah. And she's totally fine. She's 2 now.
So smart.
She's 2 now, And so, like, would I have loved for it to be an easier process for me? Sure.
Yeah.
But again, that just wasn't my story there.
Yeah.
So, I hope that gives you perspective that, like, the choice is always yours.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
It's yours.
Thank you.
Co-signed.
Yeah.
No, I think our different perspectives, like at the end of the day, the kids will be fine.
Yeah.
They're going to be fine with the formula, with the breast.
I was never breastfed.
with the pumped breast, whatever
Were you guys
it is.
breastfed?
Yes.
No, I was
until I was
I
2.
wasn't. My mom was like, go crawl over there and get your own milk. and now definitely have that type of mom. We
And
love
now,
her.
mind
though.
you, yes, we understand the benefits of breastfeeding.
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
understand, like,
Quarter story.
how beautiful of the natural magic that it can be. But there are options, and I think that that's really important for moms to know and to allow themselves to not go into it with this pressure to be. I think that's the message overall for motherhood in general.
Yeah.
Don't put this pressure on yourself to be a certain way and for it to go a certain way and for it to allow yourself the grace to be who you need to be in the moment.
Yes, and also remember you had 2 C-sections, and C-sections do affect how your breast
I need
milk
to hear
comes out
about
too.
that,
And so I don't,
because I'm having a scheduled C-section.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that might affect it too. And to keep that in mind, and maybe just do a lot of research on if you do want to breastfeed, like go back to the TikTok and see what people talk about, like their breastfeeding journeys after a C-section, and maybe don't even look at anybody that had a vaginal birth, because there's like a whole process that happens to your body.
But anything's possible with both.
No,
That's
yes,
like-
no,
that's
of
bringing you
course,
there.
but I'm just saying,
Sure.
like, I think that it's important to realize that it's a different.
It
there's
is
some-
different.
It's different.
It
with
is
my,
different.
It's
With my
very
son,
different.
my milk didn't come in for a week, almost over a week. With my daughter, it came in 3 days.
Even
So
when
it-
I had them vaginally, and it took a minute.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
It took a minute for sure.
Yep.
So what happens in those days when there's no milk? It's
So-
just
colostrum.
and the
There's
colostrum.
colostrum.
It's enough.
Girl, no, it ain't enough.
That's
So
why
baby
I
just
supplemented.
hungry.
Okay.
My baby
Yes.
was big too.
So that's what I'm saying. Okay, so did you have to supplement from the beginning? Yes.
From jump.
So I had to
Yes.
supplement.
that, Felicia.
I supplemented with Kaya because she had to go to NICU. And my milk didn't come in the first day, but I was trying to express colostrum the best that I could. We latched in recovery, like it was all that. But I also because I had my son the first time and I knew that milk supply and things can happen. My suggestion, and this is just me, if you are an open to options mama, find a formula that you feel comfortable with going into your delivery.
And bring it with
and
me.
bring it with you.
Yeah.
Smart.
Because that to me was what gave me peace of mind when I knew that she had to get on formula right away because she had to go to NICU. I was like, okay, we have the ones that we want for her.
That's good.
You know, and that gave me peace of mind until we were back to breastfeeding.
Got
and
it.
so that was something that's one thing that I would say
That's a
as far
good-
as advice.
Yeah, I appreciate
if you're
that.
an open to options mama, there's no problem with being prepared. It just gives you more peace of mind
Yes.
in a situation where you just never know what's going to happen.
Ooh, you said
That's
you have a
good.
scheduled C-section?
Yes.
Okay, well, Dr. Kendra was on here and she said that she makes sure that she sews back up the people's
Girl,
ab separation. So
listen.
make sure you tell your doctor to do it for
Well,
you.
first, go listen to our episode with Dr. Kendra because whenever we talk about it, we're paraphrasing.
Right, true.
Go
Okay,
listen
sorry.
to Dr. Kendra because she definitely talks about that process.
Yes.
And when it can be done and when it cannot. Or just call her. Ask DrKendra.com.
I
Okay.
think she's in the valley, right?
It's the transformation for me.
Right. I think if you guys want to ask new questions week after week, you can email us at podcast@blacklove.com or hit us up on IG at The Mama's Den. And Ashley Blaine Featherson-Jenkins. We're so happy to have you.
I felt very
Thank you
You're
so
an
much.
incredible guest.
Yeah.
so much.
You're a joy to have on this couch.
Thank
Yes.
you. I love it here.
Thank you for sharing.
I feel right at home.
Thank you for sharing so transparently your journey.
Yes.
Our community, I know, will really appreciate
Yeah,
it. And
absolutely.
we appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
And thank you for, I've been so inspired by mothers on this journey. Like I've been so mothered by the mothers,
Yeah.
that have been in my orbit. So I'm just very, very grateful. And like I still need it. I still need the
Yes,
community.
we're here for you.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay, you got to invite us to the baby shower. Although I don't think you need anything based off your stories.
Oh yeah. Everyone keeps saying that. They're like, what do you need? I'm like,
Nothing.
God is good.
Got it all the time.
Amen. Well, thank you, girl.